BEEX project is a no-profit foundation about visual art and photography. If you want to help us, just drop a donation on buymeacoffee.com/BerlinExplorer. So, welcome to this 50 minutes of experience. Today I'm with Melanie Issaka, based in London. Welcome to this podcast.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
As you know, I would like to ask you if you can introduce a bit of yourself, then we can just talk a bit.
Okay, great. So I live in London. I'm a photographer, also visual artist, image maker. I've just graduated from the RCA in photography. So trying to figure out what I'm doing after as a graduate now.
Yeah, I've seen that your work is really experimental, and I like a lot, I have to say. I'm just struggling right now with your website to understand how to, if I can go inside of a project to watch better, but it's really nice, the website, but it's complicated to understand. And
Sorry to cut you. The website at the moment is a holding page, so it's just a page that like just shows bits of my work. It doesn't actually go anywhere. So at the bottom it should say like full site coming soon or something like that.
It's a full site soon.
So my friends are currently like helping me build it from scratch, and so we're just like having fun kind of like building it from scratch and like exploring and experimenting with what we can do with my work online.
So you work with we can say not only photography, no? So
Yes.
your work is more based on the experimentation, even on the textile that I want to say, like this work in blue I've seen now, no? And can you tell me more about that and how did you begin to start this work?
Yeah, so my work is very experimental and has always been a analog practice. So I'm interested in print and like printed media. My work, I normally like do photographs I normally take photographs of people and do like a lot of portraiture, but I'm also interested in like screen printing, letterpress, all of those things. So during COVID, when we kind of got stuck at home, I was like thinking of the things that I had available to me at home, and I was interested in like taking portraiture, but I was the only one there to like take photographs of. And so the idea of self-portrait became very paramount to me, and I wanted to know how to photograph myself in an interesting way that I'm interested in looking at. So I was very interested in taking a picture of myself as I was, because then it meant what kind of gestures or expressions would I like want to share with myself at a later point, because a lot of like my work has been very much about documentation and archives, and this idea of like capturing some type of like authenticity. Whereas like if you do like a lot of like self-portraits are either recreations of like stereotypes or presenting oneself as being happy or sad, often in a very authentic way, in a sense that like that moment is, you can experience those emotions, but after that you might not actually like experience that again, or you might not want that to be like the permanent way that you want to be seen as. I hope that makes sense. So I was interested.
It's a really particular work, I have to say, and I like this expression of movement, and I like the idea self-portrait yourself like that, but I'm asking also to myself why that fit in a way for you and not something else, and what could be something else. I mean, this kind of work, you can go on for years, and yeah, in a way can be repetitive or not, but I'm asking to myself, what does it mean for you to self-portray yourself? I mean, why? Where start that feeling, from what exactly?
Yeah, so I think that at least for me, I document a lot of people, and I'm the person who always has a camera, and I'm constantly photographing my friends and family because I want to make sure that the moments that we spend are documented. But I find that like within those moments when I'm looking back on those images, I'm missing in them because I'm the one behind the camera. And so therefore I was thinking in the last 2 years of when we had to spend a lot of time on our own in lockdown, at various degrees, this idea of like marking, or at least like marking my own presence and being visible within like my own space. Like I was like making work in my house or in my room. And sometimes I felt personally that like I didn't know who I was or like how I felt when I wasn't with other people. And so like when going back to like looking at pictures of friends and family and those moments, like the sheer knowing that I can remember what was said or like what things felt like in that moment, I was very content with. But I also felt like, well, if I died that day, I wouldn't have any actual images of myself for others to look at. And then for me it becomes a question of, if I'm making images of me, what what do I want people to remember of me, or what do I want to, and this idea of like locating myself within my work, how, if I have like a stray representation of myself, just a picture of like a photograph of, when I say stray photograph of me, I mean just like how you see me now. I felt like it was boring to me because I could take one or two, and I've taken like a couple, which once I took them, I got bored of. Whereas when I started making the photograms or like the cyanotypes, they required like time, this idea of like actually taking up space within my room or like within spaces and actually marking my presence in a different way that was hard to ignore, even if I could like fold it up and put it away. And for me, I also like found I was interested in the other of mark making. So if you look at my work, when you're actually my work, you can see like my skin texture or like my hair follicles or like, and I found that those at that moment and also now is a better representation of me and like what I'm interested in than the kind of traditional portraiture.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was asking that to myself because, in a way, when can be a self-portrait even if you shoot a landscape. Doesn't matter that.
Yeah.
Photography in any way is a way to self-portray ourselves, even if we work for others, and it's really difficult to put off our subconscious from the picture we do it. I mean, everything is there, is a structure of what we are, and but you said, yeah, you want in a way that people remember of you, and when I watch pictures, in a way, I see you, but I don't see you. No, let's do it that. I watch at your picture, I watch at your face now, and I can, in a way, fix your images, your face. That something is practically most of the time the most unique part of us, no, that people can remember of us. I fix your image of the portrait in my mind and associate the word, so then your name, your surname, and your work with your face. In this case, if someone watch at only the images without discovering who you are, without asking to themselves who you are, and to searching your face, to searching your other work, let's just go to the picture itself. No, what do you think they discover then?
I think that when I'm making work, I have a separation of what I want to see within the work, or like what I'm feeling, because a lot of my work, and also having the separation between me as an artist making work for myself and then allowing other people to participate in the viewing or the experience of my work. And I find that I separate that because there are a lot of things within my work that no one's ever going to understand. And I'm okay with that because I'm still also trying to understand it as well. And I don't want myself to be fixed. And I think that, like, you use the word, this idea of like portraiture and like having someone's face as a fixed image of who they are. And I didn't want that because I don't think the identity and personality and all those things are fixed. And so, and also just like my face right now, in 2 years' time, I'm going to look slightly different, and I'm constantly growing and changing. And I think that making portraiture that allows this room for change and like this room of kind of instability is exciting to me, because it allows that a person or people are not one thing but multiple, at least for me. So therefore, with the cyanotype, I laid on a fabric for, let's say, half an hour, and then I use that same fabric to make multiple images. And all those multiple images, because I go back and intervene with the work at different periods of my period of time, they kind of become like a story or a narrative, which isn't particularly linear, but they show this idea of like multiplicity that I'm interested in. And then also, if like my audience or like someone sees the work, they don't need to tether it to me. I don't mind, because they're never gonna know who I am unless we have a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
And like with other portraits, like with traditional portrait, there's this illusion that you know a person because of this intimacy that they allow, but you really don't. You have, yeah, you can like know where they're from by, like, let's say I'm a Black woman, so you can tell.
That doesn't mean anything. I mean, today it's practically yeah, you cannot really recognize where someone come from. I mean,
Yeah,
it's something
no, but you can have an idea.
no. Let's say for, we use, for example, USA. It's, I think, a good country to talk about that. No,
Yeah,
in USA there was probably domination from every country in the world. And every person of the world in every country, in a way or another, moved there. Okay, so it's a really a mix. And if we want to count also the tribal people who was living there before, so then we cannot really have an idea of what is the representation of an American. So in this case, in your case, for example, I don't know if you was born in UK or not, and I mean, this doesn't give me information to say something or to think something, and doesn't matter if you're black, if you're white, or what else, other color. I mean, the shades of the color of the skin are changing really in many different ways, and then I don't know what does it mean to call someone black or white, because it's stupid for me, because yeah, there are no white people and there are no black people if we want to really talk about shades and colors. But
yeah, but that's, sorry, I just want to like kind of intervene there, because even if it is irrelevant whether there are actually, like, scientifically no difference between races. Politically there is, and I think that it becomes besides the point if we're going to be like, oh, everyone's kind of from different places, and we know that people are from different places, but we still make these assumptions. Or at least, like, in my experience meeting people, most people assume I'm African because I look African, because I'm Black,
I,
right?
I understand you. I'm Italian, but I look also Arabish, so Arab or from Turkey or where else, no?
Yeah.
And yeah, most of the time when they say to me, yeah, are you Arab? Are you or there are really Arab people come to me and speak in Arabish. Yeah, they're directly. I don't know them, no, and yeah, they think I'm Arab. It's okay for me. I mean, it's, even if happened in my life to experience some racial thing, I mean, it's okay. It's. I think the racism start or the racism, and even if we are not talking about racism, but more about stereotypes. The stereotypes are the knife of the people that not to talk about other things. I mean, people are not really interested to widen themselves, to open their mind. And in general, in my experience, a person opened at least two books more in the life. Never talked about stereotypes. In any case, I mean, not only about people, but even also about other things. So I think it's just a point of view for sure. We live. So we want to say that we live in a world full of stupid people. That's sure, and that's another reason why the photography, and especially contemporary art photography, is really difficult to solve today. And not only about to sell, but even to explain to the people. But I think we are also in a world development in a way, so that the degree of the people's stupidity is going a bit more smarter, because they are in a way or another obligated to inform themselves, or in a way or another they are obligated also from the uses they are now in our society, in every society. So, like, for example, even using a smartphone, that something in the 90s was probably for nerd. Today, it's normal things.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally think that it's easy to say, or like very kind. Yeah, it's easy to say that people are stupid but really people aren't. And also, as an artist, or like as a, at least I study graphic design and about marketing, and the fact that, like, people, artists, a lot of artists use signifiers, and we, like, use imagery that has already been built up for us, because I can make, like, for example, some of my work is red. Now I know that if someone else sees the color red, they'll have, like, associations with it, because we've all lived in a society where red means something and blue means another. And so even if people are not interrogating what that means for them, when I say people, I mean the audience, those things still matter and those things are still relevant. And I don't think that to call an audience, like, I think that, like, to call an audience kind of like silly or like stupid is kind of um it belittles them, but then it also belittles your work too, because sometimes you don't need sometimes it just can be whatever someone sees of your work and how they apply to themselves. And I think that, like, there should be room to basically be like, this might not be what the artist intended, but I can place myself within that work and have value in it. And I don't think that that's what you were trying to say, but I think that, like, that can be a conversation that makes it a little bit more interesting than just to be like, well, let's just leave those behind, like other people behind, because they might not be have been as educated as you are.
Yeah, it's not about they are not educated, because it's not about education. I think education is a word come from not a really nice stage. Education come from, it's a word that basically come etymologically from giving a lesson in a really bad way. Education is come more from the animal way in the farm to treat the animal, and it's not about education. I think it's about curiosity, and I mean, it's if you are curious, it doesn't matter if you have an education or not. It's you are searching, and you don't stop yourself in front of one answer. You search and you search, you search and you search, and the point is, even if we have an education, we can say today every country has an education to become a slave of the system, if we want to think about. Because if you just think about how many hours you have to stay in the school, it's the same kind of hours you have to stay in the office, and what you are going to study, it's the same things that prepare you in a way or another to get slavery from your boss. So if we would really in a way talk about same direct to everyone, we had to destroy the system we are living actually in. And to go to what you said, for sure, it's important to talk about, and not to say yes, stupid or not. I mean, this is the easiest way to talk about that. But not everyone has the same opportunity, probably, and not everyone won't have the same opportunity. I mean, I have many friends that then, even if they was with me most of the time in many different occasions talking about particular things they was not interested about. They were much more interested to watch, I don't know, soccer player, no, and just stay there. I never was interested, but there are people interested in that. And I don't blame them for that, but in a way or another, they also want not be aware of what is outside of them little world. And in a way, this is stupid because you don't want to be aware of what is the real world outside of you.
Yeah, but I also find that I think I have a problem with labeling that as stupid, especially when some people have. I think people should be able to choose what they have interest in. And if they're not interested in what you or I are interested in, that does not make them less like not even intelligent, but like worthwhile to do whatever they pursue. And
Sure,
we all
that's
live in a bubble. I think like I live in a very artistic bubble. Like everyone around me is interested in art. And then I've got like a few friends who are not, who that we basically have nothing in common other than we've grown up in the same way, like let's say family members and stuff. But everyone has a bubble, and I think that sometimes, like for me personally, like I make work that makes me uncomfortable, and I'm like engaged in like discourses and like subject matter that does like it's not very nice, or it's not even that it's not very nice, but like sometimes can be considered unproductive and can lead to like nihilism. But that doesn't really like that's my choice to do that. And it's also like, and there are like people who like are able to cope with their lives and however like society has brought us up, because you like when you were talking about education and how like we're almost educated in a way that makes us go from school to work in from a 9 to 5 and be content with that, and a lot of us aren't really content with that, and a lot of people don't succeed in that mode, but there are those who do. And I don't think it's great, but yeah, it is. And and then also those are not the people that I'm interested in having a conversation with, because and those are not the people that I'm interested in having a conversation with, because I don't think I'm going to learn anything from that, but then I might.
Yeah, I think you. I mean, in my experience, I learn a lot from people who are doing totally different life than me, and even if I mean, I always say I think it's interesting even to talk with someone is in front of the TV every day on the sofa in the fucking same sofa for 24 hours watching the TV stupid stuff. In a way or another, they are accumulating something, and in a way or another, what they are doing is a matter of what happened before in their life, and there is a lot to discover. I mean, in a way or another, I don't judge any kind of interest, but the interest most of the time come from even our past solution or what kind of solution was provided to us from our parents or people who was around us during our growing. So talking about, I mean, it's it's a totally a talk about what happened before to say what we are now, and mm, but to go in what we was talking before exactly was about stereotypes, and I got your point. I got your point because yeah, I can also imagine that in a way or another you want to communicate that because there is in a way or another the still the stereotype topic I think also in London, and I wanted to ask you particularly how is the feeling to be I don't want to say a artist but photographer or a person in London.
I think that's a very hard question. um, it's a very hard question, which I don't think I have an answer for, other than like I'm just me. Um, and I think it's fun. Like to live in London is amazing, and as an artist, there's a lot of diverse content and like artists and also spaces that you can engage in, and so therefore there are a lot of artists, and sometimes that can be like sad, but then it's also like because you kind of feel like you can get like drowned in the noise of like just so many artists making great work. But then also there is a kind of unity and like a home in that, like a comfort in knowing that there are people making and like creating. And yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question, but I think it's very hard to be like to really answer that question, especially when I've never known anything different. I've always lived in London.
Yes.
Um,
Where you would love to, I don't know, explore yourself, explore your art, your communication, if you have, I don't know, an occasion to move somewhere else?
I really enjoy traveling, and I've like traveled to a lot of a lot of countries. I haven't actually been to Asia, but I've been to most like America, a lot of the European countries, and Africa as well. So personally, like, so I'm half Ghanaian, half Nigerian, so I'd love to like spend more time in Ghana, um, and just kind of try to. I think that when you live in, at least for me, when I was born in Ghana but moved to the UK when I was young, and grew up here, and so a lot of things that I've known about Ghana has always been secondhand, and through books and through people telling stories of what it was like to grow up there. And whenever I go and visit, because I'm only there for a period like 2 weeks or so, it's never and also I'm viewed as still being a tourist. Um, so I think it would be really interesting to see what it feels like to actually live in Ghana for a bit. But then I also don't think I can live there for a very long time because of the pace of the lifestyle there. Um,
Yeah, I can even, I can imagine. I mean, I have so many friends from Ghana and also from Nigeria, and I know the situations.
Also, I said Niger, not Nigeria.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was saying in general, I have and yeah, from also Rwanda. I have some friends from Rwanda, so and I mean, many different places in Africa are, I think, totally cool, but in a, in another way, it's also totally difficult to live there. And yeah, it's something I think slowly, in the past 30 years, I mean, it's going on better, but yeah, I think it needs other 50 years at least, other 30, 50 years to get, I mean, in a way that we are here in Europe, even because the difficulties is because we are in cities that they were already developed in the Middle Age, and this is the point. So I mean, even in Asia, where was nothing, for example, Saigon, I want to say, no, that 30 years ago there was nothing. Now there are cities are bigger because yeah, because of the interest of other people.
Yeah, but I guess I wasn't specifically speaking as to the infrastructure, just as more as someone who's lived in London for like 20, like 20 plus years, and like in terms of education and the way that like you're brought up in the town that you're from. I personally don't think I can see myself living outside of that. Like I've lived in other places for 3 months or so, but I've always like considered that as I'm just there for a second and I'm always gonna come back to London because I'm still interested in like what London offers and like the kind of and also being comfortable in London in a way that like I know like I can just walk up get out of the house and walk for 12 hours and then go back home. And in other places I do that too, where like I enjoy walking and like I enjoy something called like psychogeography, which is about like how your your psyche or like your mind is affected by the space that you live in. And so I do like long walks, and I find that like when I was in Ghana or like even in America, sometimes just the idea of like going for a long walk is foreign to people. Like when I was in America, every 10-20 minutes someone is stopping to ask me if I need a ride somewhere. Or when I was in Ghana, people were just like tagging along and then they realize, oh, you're going for like a very very long walk, and then you're like, oh, I'm bored now, but like everyone's kind of accompany you. Whereas like in London, and this is like just the smallest thing, but that's the kind of like things that I find to be interesting to me that I've never really experienced in another country before or like another town,
You have
just
to come
because
here
of
in
how
Berlin.
familiar I am with it.
You have to come here in Berlin. I moved here in Berlin because I like it to walk. I was walking
Yeah.
out, and really for 12 hours, and
Yeah.
I always enjoyed them. Still today, I mean, every day I go out 2 hours to go and shoot photography in the street, and yeah, walk really a lot and enjoy a lot that because it's totally different from other country. And yeah, I had to see also in London was nice to walk. When I was there, I was walking a lot. Uh, but I will say I cannot, in a way, imagine myself in London to work as an artist because it's so fucking expensive. And, I mean, this is a fact, no?
Yeah, no, it is. But that's the thing is like it's for me, it's already like that's normal.
Yeah,
Like that's
you
the
are there
basis.
for
So
20 years.
yeah.
It's normal for you. But the point is when you don't when you come from another country and you feel it a lot better. That's how could be difficult for you to invest in your heart. I mean, in the meantime, do you do it only heart or do you finance yourself in other ways?
Yeah, so I work as a photographer. So I've got my personal practice, which is the kind of work that you've seen. And then I also work as a freelance photographer. So I do like commercial shoots, and um, I mostly like work with galleries, like doing installation shots, or also like brands as well, to photograph or document whatever they need.
That's
Yeah.
because something I cannot see on your Instagram or on your website, so that I'm asking you. And, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because I never really like whenever I've never actually put a lot of my work out before, but because I went to like because I did my masters and we had a degree show and all those things happened, I had to make my work public. or not like had to make it, but like he was very encouraged to make your work public, and so that's why I've become more present online. But yeah, before that, I've just basically been making work that I didn't really share, or making, and also like working for other people, creating their images and creating their works.
Yeah, I understand because I was doing the same. Okay. So it was nice to talk with you, Melanie, and it was really nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope to see the development of your website soon. Then I can read also something more about your personal works and discover a bit. Yeah, I advise people listening to this podcast to look at the description. There's the link for visit your links. And I hope to talk with you maybe next year.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was such a great conversation that I had with you. So thank you so much for like, no, it's really interesting to like be challenged and like have opposing thoughts and discourse. So that's really engaged. It's really nice to have that.
Yeah, it's nice for me too. I had to have a chat especially with people, and don't focus too much on photography, but more on what is behind, because I think what we are is especially what we think. And what we represent in photography is more what we think, what we will communicate.
Yeah.
I think with the voice, we can, in a way or another, touch some points that usually we don't touch in our shoots. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you for listening to this podcast, and if you want to learn more about us, you can visit the link allmylinks.com, Berlin Explorer, or our website BEEXproject.com. And if you want to follow us, you can always get news from Instagram on our account BEEX Project. Thank you again, and see you in the next episode.